Thank you for joining us. This is the True Rebels Attain Victory lunch break discussions, fun conversations, and wonderful times together.
We certainly hope so.
Yeah. So, again, we're going to follow up on our last discussion,
Right.
where we were talking about the N word being used in music and entertainment.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Or just in general.
It's just in general. Yeah, the use of it. Oh yeah, we're going to ingest in general. Yeah. So we're going to, I guess we can, start up on the music end, because we were talking about how Beyonce and Lizzo had the other day kind of taken their lyrics out of the S word. So we were wondering if there's anyone else out there like us who are thinking we need to get the N word out.
Right.
Mute it out forever.
Right. Or whatever the situation is. So I think that I don't know whether or not you're prepared to do this, but I'm just saying. I think that there should be some context as to, why we're so against the use of that word.
Right.
And obviously, all of us, many people know the origin of the word, the negative connotations behind it, and when it started during slavery and stuff like that. But for us, it's for me personally, it's just one of those things where I'm highly uncomfortable with it, and for all of those reasons, right? So for for like I said, I don't know if you had any context in terms of historically why it is such a wretched word to use in contemporary society like we have today. And then the other part of that is, I would say, that I think that I would have some commentary about, or we could talk about, is the fact that why is it so enduring after all of this time in the American lexicon, or in lexicon in general, where there are other negative words like that have their run, but then are phased out, and why, for whatever reasons, it continues to be something that is widely used to the point where it's almost incented to be used.
Wow.
And that's one of the reasons why it endures, is because it's, some of the other words, such as you mentioned the S word yesterday in that article, how it is, I don't know if the word would, how you would put it, but, it's one where you're not incented to use it, right? There's some penalty behind it. Whereas, unfortunately, with the N word, there's either this real or perceived incentive for using it.
Right. So
now, I know it's a whole lot there.
That is but you have to break it out in that way. And I'm thinking about the historical perspectives that you were talking about. I don't even know if I want to even. I don't know if it really. We have to do it. I know we have to talk about the historical perspective, but as you look at that article from Hannah, was it Hannah? She really didn't give much historical background, right?
No,
she just said it hurt.
Right.
It hurt her feelings, basically. It personally hurt her feelings. So that was enough. I guess that's maybe, not to say any. I don't.
And then there were others who did weigh in.
Yeah, right.
There were others who also had that similar condition and weighed in.
So we have that privilege to say that I'm very hurt by the word still today. Like you said, I can be. And I just remember that one time. This is a historical perspective. I was in a what do you call that? What do you call it when you're singing into the music? Karaoke. I was in karaoke downtown,
right,
in Chinatown.
Cool.
In one of the bars there, and I was there with my wife and I think her sister and her husband. I think it may be another couple there, and we were there together. And we were the only African Americans primarily.
Okay.
Right.
So
they're going through the whole, people are going through their songs because we're the only African Americans there, probably, maybe a few others. But the songs were like Carolina, those good, feel good songs,
right,
folk
people
songs,
can laugh at, and
just
have a good time.
Pop songs,
sure, absolutely.
But then, someone selected, I think was popular at the time was I think Big Sean. It was I don't give a f about you.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
That song.
yeah. Right,
So
right,
somebody did that song.
right, right,
Um,
right.
so it
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
okay,
I
all
don't
right.
f with
You,
you. Yeah,
yeah,
so yeah,
exactly.
yeah. All right, all
So
right,
that came on, and it
right,
was like, all right, it was, but the context of like going from like
right, right. Those,
feel good songs
right, right, right,
to the very disparaging, Big Sean
right,
song.
right.
It was, it was shocked me, and then it was the imagery of it because they had the video up too, and it's like, okay, all right.
What do I do with this?
Yeah, and then another song was the Coca song. I'm in love with the Coca. And so that's
Okay.
that was a very popular song back then too. So
Okay.
so the video is like him and he's using the N word as well.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it was like, wow, okay, and it was him like the drug dealer.
Okay.
He's the first video, because it's two videos out. The first video, it was the first video where he's like in an apartment on in the kitchen cooking up the cocaine, as they say. So these imageries
Sure.
of us, like it was like, oh, okay, all right, damn, all right. So then after that embarrassment, for me, I'm embarrassed.
Right.
I was embarrassed. I'm not saying everyone else was, but I was.
Right.
Because I'm looking around like, and people are like singing these songs and looking at the imagery of our people, and it's like, wow. And then to top it off, the last song, which is very popular. I mean, I even enjoyed it at one point. I'll be honest with you, this is the way it is for us. We have identity issues, but and I'm not, one that's, immune to it. But "In Words in Paris" came on by Jay-Z and Kanye West,
Okay.
and it was that really like put it on a nail, that put the nail in the coffin for me. It was like, man, that's totally sucks. Like, how are we just like living like this? How are we accepting this? And yeah, people don't, I guess people just don't even care. But me, I was pretty much hurt.
Yeah, I would like to know. Well, I would
I
like
was
to
pretty-
examine that, though. I mean, because I would like to examine that. I think that it's important that you get that context, that perspective, your perspective. Like you said, you felt. How did that make you feel? I mean, it's a song that, like you said, you're somewhat conflicted. You could rock to it, you could bop to it. You like the song, you even like the artist,
I
right?
liked the artist.
And
I went to the
artist.
concert. I went to the concert.
Right. But then you also had the feeling of, why would it make you feel bad if you like them and you like the song or you like the rap? Why would it that?
And I was trying to figure out, like, I guess that you had different places, and I think did I read? I was reading once. I think it maybe it's always when I'm reading it kind of swings my moods.
Sure.
So when I'm learning more about history, or even just relearning it, or hearing more about like our past, and I think it was just I read something about a gentleman named was Moses at the time. He named himself Moses, but of course he was named something else prior to that. But I was reading about how his life as an enslaved African, and he was one of those guys who refused to be enslavement at that time, which is very, very tough.
Right. Sure.
Because you can be tortured,
Absolutely.
Limbs cut off. You can watch your family members or be maimed or whatever because of your people who are around you. There's other people around you. So he was always trying to escape. So to the point where he had one of those neck. What do you call those?
I don't know what that collar.
The collar
Right.
had the thorns on it.
Right.
Because it was a story described it. To the point where when he escaped,
And there are pictures of it.
Oh yeah, you can
of
see the
enslaved
pictures.
Africans,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
that have it.
It's barbaric, but and it just makes me like. So I think after I read that story, let me tell you, because the story was crazy, because he escaped with that collar on, right? And and then I guess it was in the South somewhere. I guess it was in Florida or Louisiana, where in the swamps where not only did the enslaved Africans go to escape, but some of the people who were a part of the military, especially
On the South,
on the South. What is
the Confederates,
the
the
Confederate
rebels.
soldiers that didn't want to fight?
Right.
They would escape into this because
To
they
that
would be
swamp
killed.
and all
They
that.
would be killed as too.
Right,
So as
sure.
well. So they used to, escape in the swamp areas.
Right.
So there was a mixture of like enslaved Africans, people who were advocates of the enslaved Africans who helped them, and then it would also be Confederate soldiers
Right,
there,
right.
escape Confederate soldiers.
Right. Wow. Yeah,
I
that is
know.
a motley crew.
It is crazy,
I
right?
mean, yeah. Hey.
So the story, just to make it, said, this engagement or this interaction, some of new Confederate soldiers came in and were taken in and then protected by, the advocates of the enslaved Africans. If you want to say they were, what do they call those guys? The people who are advocate of ending enslavement.
Abolitionists.
Abolitionists.
Right.
I guess they were abolitionists.
Okay.
That's so this with this engagement in the swamp, I think at one point they were giving out food, and they gave food out at the same time with the Confederate white men, with the African enslaved escaped men. Everyone was treated equal, and I think they must have saw that this gentleman named Moses got his food before them. So they questioned, like, whoa, why you giving this nigga?
Did they say that?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
the term. Like, why you give
Right.
this nigga,
Right.
my
Okay.
food,
Right.
food
Sure.
for us, or he shouldn't be coming before us.
Right.
And
Even though you're a cowardly.
yeah, exactly. It's not even
You're a
point there.
cowardly rebel, traitor to the Union. Even though you're that, you
But
still
the-
can find.
But
words.
the thing was, the response was, and you got to get this, I don't see no niggas here. And he said, right, Moses? And he said, yeah, I don't see no niggas here. I mean, that right there was like, wow. This is
Awesome.
people in the time of enslavement, the things that they went through. I mean, I'm not saying that, that we have to feel that way, or you can, align yourself with that feeling. But to me, I felt it. And I guess after that, it was like, wow, I just can't look at that word the same way anymore. Or feel it in music or entertainment the same way. As a blind eye, like, yeah, forget about it.
Right. No, thank you for that. And the reason I asked you that question is because, at the same time, I remember, man, like we always have to put, I don't know, like the human feeling behind things and the real reason behind things. Right. So you always, there are reasons why people feel the way that we do. Everyone has its story, or has a story similar to that. So it's just vitally important that, again, we put into historical context the damage of this word, the way that it is used to control people, the way that it is used to dehumanize people, and the way that it continues to continue to make an identity for a permanent underclass of people who recognize themselves as being that, or don't mind using that word or being that, can always be regulated to second-class citizenship, regardless of the amount of money they make, regardless of the education that they may have, the station in life that they might be in, right? Regardless of those accomplishments, if you're cool with being that, then you're always relegated to being a second-class citizen, or less, by the way, as a result of that. So the other part is, man, that like I said, you and I, we had these conversations all the time.
Right.
It is, again, like I said, this, for whatever reason, this ridiculous, steadfast obsession with holding on to the word. What is it about our people? What is it about us that does that? Because I'll say this, in some cases, a lot of people, like even regardless whether or not you're in business, whether or not you're in school, entertainment industry, whatever the situation is, and regardless of the ethnic background of the people, they're careful not to say that around you, right? They know that it offends you, right? They know that it at least has the potential to do that. And when
Be
they
offensive,
do
yeah.
it, they know there's going to be some repercussions, right? They know that they overstepped their boundaries and they did that.
But we say it freely.
Right. Well, we say it so that they can know that it's comfortable to say it to us, right? So what happens is oftentimes when you're in polite society with other people, right, of other ethnic backgrounds, you say it and you say it loudly and you say it so many times so as to let people know, oh, you can be comfortable with calling me that. I'm going to be saying it, by the way. And so you also, okay, should be comfortable in using that word because it is something that I'm not offended by, despite the fact that historically there are only negative connotations that are used with it. With this ridiculous argument that it's a term of endearment, it's silly, it's stupid. And to even say that there's a difference between, Nigga and Nigger,
it's crazy.
it's absurd and stupid on its face, right?
And I have some, and I found some things in the 1619 project. And I mean, all of you, if you're interested in reading that, you should do it. The 1619 project.
We are going to talk about the 1619 project
By Nicole Hannah-Jones.
By Nicole Hannah-Jones. We're shouting it out, throwing it out there. It is an important work. And we'll talk about that. That's another.
So,
time.
But in that that art, or you would say that scholarship there, she gathered some of the scholars, but they have a section called music, and I mean I don't know if we can get into it now, but it's really telling that even in those early days when they used the use of the N word was tangible, like the Nigger and by Nigga were used in terms of how I guess educated you were, in terms of your vernacular.
Sure.
So like if I wasn't as educated, then I probably would be given more to say niggas instead of niggers.
Right.
I mean, not saying that you didn't use it interchangeably, but like more people who were educated use it niggers.
Right. Sure.
And more of the southern people use nigga.
Right.
So I mean, what?
Right.
I mean, it still was used by the enslavers.
So
and the people who traded you as cattle.
Right. So I would say this, I would say that there are a couple things that to me are problematic about the whole word.
Okay.
And one of those things is, of course, there's very little evidence of any other culture or ethnic group that uses very negative language to describe each other. Now, they may have those words, of course they do.
Yeah.
Historically, we know that everyone has them where they describe each other. None of them are on heavy display or is widely used in public to describe their people as the N-word. There's something basically wrong with that. I am pretty certain, with all due respect to the Korean people, that they have words like some other disparaging words that they use to describe each other that's really negative, that we don't know about, that they are deeply offended by. But you won't know it. And for the most part, many of us don't. And neither should we, right? That's something that is between them, and that's just their thing. But what is it about? I'm certain there are other ethnic groups that also have words that, again, describe very negative aspects about them. But the world does not know those words as they know the N-word. That's A. B, I would say that the reason why it's harmful to continue to have this word, our grandchildren's children will eventually grow up. And while other words are either diminished or lessened or won't be used as much or whatever in the lexicon, this word will endure, and it shouldn't. It's already endured for way much more longer than it has, but it is time, I would say, personally, it is time to get rid of this word. Right. It is, and I know that there are others who feel like I do, and I know what happens. What happens is, because it's in the music, because it's in entertainment, because it's so cool, it's in movies, it's insurmountable. It seems like, wow, we could never get rid of this. But the reality is, of course we can. And we start by doing it today. We start by doing it, by just not doing it, by writing our artists. Where are our artists that we have? These two giant women, Lizzo and Beyonce. These are giants in the industry. These are people that have amazing influence. And I would say have amazing courage for quickly deciding that they're not going to use words like that. But where are they where they can, amongst their peers, discuss the fact that there are certain words that should not be used in their music. Because this is the reality. That word won't be used by them, but it's also not going to be used by their peers.
Right.
They'll never use the S word again. Not any of their peers will, because these two giants have already said we're not going to do it, right? So it there has to be some consensus, I'm saying, amongst others, and it doesn't have to be a knockdown, drag out fight, but there needs to be, I would say, just a basic intelligent discussion amongst professionals, to decide that, listen, some of these words, again, they have power. Right. And because they do, we need to learn, we got to take this crap out of our music for our grandchildren's children. Later on, somebody's grandchildren's children will know what that means.
But you said something very important, that the scholarship of it has to come from the intellectuals or the leaders in academia. They have to come up forward.
They do
put
too.
a challenge. I mean,
they do too. But I would also say, even if they don't, I would say this, Travis. Yes, I would say, for example,
have to be the one.
I would say those in entertainment. I think everybody has to do it. But my point is, yes, academics definitely have to do it.
Okay.
But I would say, even amongst those that are in entertainment right now, they're somewhere about to sign a contract right now, or they're in the studio and they're spitting bars, they're doing what they do right now. But they also know each other on a social level.
Yeah,
they also know each other on a business level. Mm-hmm. And as quickly as those other two queens in the industry were able to make that courageous decision to do that, that tells me that's evidence.
Yeah, it's
that anyone can do it.
It's so easy.
And it's so easy to do it.
What's so easy?
I mean, so wait a minute. What are the record labels going to say? Oh, well, you absolutely can't do that. You know, it's going to ruin everything that you've done. It can't be that.
Sometimes I feel like, I mean,
so
they can't get the contract or the music out, because I believe it's propaganda. That's just my conspiracy theorist, but I think it's propaganda the way that they push it, because it's too.
Of course it is.
It's too much. It's not even to me. It's not even art anymore. Like some of the songs that they say it so much, it's like
they're just throwing it in.
Yeah, it's like, if you're a rapper and you about lyrics, like I think if people are about that anymore, but back in the day, if you said a word more than once in your lyric, in your verse,
it was worse than redundant.
Like you look whack, bro. You say now they say it like almost every other. I was about to say but they say every other beat on it, like every other beat is.
It's so essential. It used to be a time. So, of course, I'm an OG, as you can see. The gray has not died in here. Trust me, it's real.
No,
but the reality
is, I'm an OG. Oh, I didn't know that.
So, the thing is, I remember in the rap industry, right? Like, I remember long ago, and by the way, my generation basically gave birth to the rap game, right? Virtually. Right. I remember there were times where you had these, like, what was essential to old school rap? There were certain artists that were essential to it because they just had great beats that did repeat themselves and help you to follow the hook. One of them was James Brown.
Oh, okay.
James Brown was essential to the rap game. Period.
Definitely.
Listening to any old school rap, I don't care who the artist is. One of them either had a beat, had a hook, had something that related to James Brown. Right? Now it's the N-word. The odd thing is, you can't even have a rap song without it and it be popular. It used to be that if you had the James Brown beat or whatever it is, the hook or whatever, it would be very popular. Nowadays,
it's like the period.
That's changed to right. That's changed somehow to the N-word. I'm just saying, my indignation with that word, my hatred of the word should be clear if you didn't know already. I'm absolutely done with it. I'm through with it, and I think you should be too. And I know that there are others of you out there that feel the same way. We need to pressure academia. We need to pressure businesses. We need to pressure the entertainment industry. And there are people. I remember once, I told you this. I remember once having a conversation at work, and one of the managers there, I was in sales, and one of the managers in there continued to use the N-word very cavalierly in a conversation. And again, it was a diverse crowd that we were in for lunch, by the way. White people there, people of the Jewish faith, Latino people there, Irish guys, me, and a couple of brothers. And he kept using the N-word. So I got to the point where I was like, yo, I feel uncomfortable with that. I got to be honest with you. Right. And I don't mean it like that. We going back and forth. So I was like, to be honest with you, I think you're embarrassing yourself by even, defending the word. But you have a right to say what you want to say. I'm not telling you not to do that. But what I am telling you that you don't have a right to do is address me as that. Because he said, well, you my, and he used the N. No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not that. All right. I'm not yours and I'm not his. And I started pointing to the guys in the room so that they can all understand you can't say it, you can't say it, and you can't say it, right? So after it was over with, the African brother that was there was recently from the motherland, he walked over to me, he said, it was very interesting. Okay, I think it was a little stimulating from his perspective. And he said, I gotta be honest with you. I didn't know that you were progressive like that. But to be quite honest with you, I don't understand why I was going to say his name, but why the gentleman, and I won't say his name, but continued to argue that. He said, I don't think it's too much to ask. So the reason I'm saying this, I'm saying that to say, I don't think it's so much for us to ask other artists not to use that word. I don't think it's such a big deal that sure, if a person has, I don't think it's a big deal for a person to say, your lyrics offended me because I have an affliction that when I hear that word, it causes me duress. I don't think it's too much to ask. I don't think it's too much to say, I am a person that loves someone of the same sex, or I'm married to someone of the same sex. When you use that word, or when you use words like that, it marginalizes me. It makes me feel unsafe. It makes me feel that I can't love who I want to love. And I also feel that it's not too much to ask that for those of us who have suffered under the weight of the N-word, that we can come to our artists who happen to, by the way, also happen to be Black people, but who want to identify as the N-word. I don't think it's too much for us to ask them to see the hurt that causes and not to use that. And then if they need to advocate with the people who do their distribution and their record labels to say, hey, man, we've got to move beyond that, because our next generation of children need to see our excellence, our brilliance. And you can't see that brilliance and that excellence when you're still calling them the N-word. That's my point.
It's a brilliant point. And I think that's it. That's all I think we should say for that. That's all I think we need to say, is that anyone else is out there who feels the same way, spread this message along. Yes. and like our post once I get it up, and share it with others, and hey, challenge these artists, challenge the artists. I think it's worth it. And I think I'm done with myself, and I'm pretty sure that I have to convince my sons that it's okay not to be cool with it. It marginalize us to a thing of easily to be killed.
An object.
Yes. And I mean, so I would say this in my closing remarks. I would say, if you are, still trying to hold on to this word, I would say, if you think it has some value, over the past 20 years of, let's say, hip hop music, 25 years that we've been, having it, not just in hip hop, but I think I'm not going to go into that, but we've been doing this for 25 years.
Longer.
Or more. Has it helped us? Has it pushed us forward in progression? Has it put us in a better position? And if it hasn't, then your answer is to stop. If it has, only thing I'm offering is that you prove it. Where has it improved my life, your life, people around you, their lives, besides getting money for yourself and your personal, account, but for the people that you represent, as you would say, in the streets of whatever. I'm not going to put anyone out there, but has it helped them?
Good question.
So yes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we're going to try to do something else next time. You want to talk about the 1619 project next time?
I'm game.
Yeah. So that would be good. It has some good stuff in there, and we can follow up with the N-word as well. That's going to be, a major discussion always. But we want to talk about other things too.
Sure, and we will.
Yeah,
we got a litany of things.
Yeah. So peace and love. See you next time.
Peace and love. See you next time. Thank you.